secretary, and the tags were found with the letter and the picture.
Have you ever had this checked out?
I have 4 experts.
Things might look calm on the surface, but the pawn shop can turn into a battleground in seconds. Whether it's customers losing their tempers or tempers flaring behind the counter, Pawn Stars has had some explosive moments you wouldn't believe. These are the most shocking fights ever caught on camera, and they prove this isn't your average shop. This gentleman walks into the store and says he has an item for sale. The item was a Marilyn Monroe signed picture and handwritten poem. Believe me, even Corey could not wait to get his hands on the piece. It was almost like the item was something he had been waiting to see for a long time.
For sale today, I've got a Marilyn Monroe signed picture and a handwritten poem, as well as the obituary of and his tag.
This could be very valuable. Looks like she's swinging on a rope.
Yes.
Honestly, the item sounds and looks like a very rare piece. There aren't a lot of Marilyn Monroe handwritten poems out there, and if this happens to be legit, that would be very incredible. I wonder where he found something like this. Well, you heard Corey. This piece is going to be one of a kind if it actually happens to be a legit item. I'm pretty sure the guy who brought in the item for sale has no idea how valuable it is. But first, it has to be original.
You see me on the silver screen on Life magazine. My master has been missed both time and again. Ground or in the sky, where there is mischief, so am I.
Ha 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 ha. That was hilarious coming from Corey. Clearly, Marilyn Monroe was a better actor than a poet, but we still can't deny the fact that she was an extraordinary human being back in her prime. But come on, $48,000 is actually a lot of money. It looks like this guy actually has an idea of what the piece could sell for. He said he had 4 different experts check out the item 10 years ago. Well, Corey still has to check out the item regardless of what the man just said.
Well, that's good to know. You got any paperwork with it?
I don't have any paperwork.
That's a shame. Without it, I don't have a lot. Tell you what, mind if I have a buddy of mine come take PSA or what signature people there is out there?
Wonderful.
I'll be right back.
Thank you very much.
Having no paperwork is a massive red flag.
Aha! I knew Corey was not going to just go with what the gentleman said. What's funny is the fact that he claims to have had the item checked out by 4 different experts, and yet he can't provide any paperwork to back up his claim. Sounds funny to me. Corey's expert seems to be surprised that this man randomly has this rare piece in his possession. He says that finding Marilyn Monroe's pieces is pretty rare, and it's going to be insane if this piece is legit. But first, he wants to properly check the item.
And then to go along with a handwritten poem, it's almost too good to be true.
Of course. I'm gonna pull out some exemplars. Okay. Kind of always rushed, kind of sloppy, but she kind of had a beauty to it too, kind of like her. And if you start to look at the exemplar here, how her M moves so.
Wow. That explains why the guy who brought in the piece said it's worth over $48,000. It looks like he actually did his research. Oh well, let's see if the expert feels this particular piece is going to be worth that amount. The expert definitely broke his heart. His dreams of cashing out $48,000 are now down the drain. Apparently, the piece was signed by Marilyn Monroe's secretary and not Marilyn Monroe herself. Is he just going to walk home with empty pockets?
I'd like to analyze the poem, and I brought a sample of her. This is signed earlier in the 50s, and you could see it's very similar throughout. When I start to compare both of these, you go over here to the poem, it's 2 different worlds.
Yeah, they look absolutely nothing alike.
Men, it's like the odds are just against this guy. Standing there, you can feel his disappointment. He might be walking home with empty pockets after all. I guess that settles that. At least he took his loss like a man. The next item that found its way into the shop was a suitcase-mounted rocket. Trust me, even I couldn't figure out what it looked like when it walked into the shop, but Corey and his dad were intrigued to see it.
Something I want you to take a look at.
Yeah, crappy suitcases I need. But
Well, this isn't just any case. Hybrid rocket mounted in a case.
hybrid rocket? Did I hear that this is a rocket?
I can't be the only one who has no idea what a hybrid rocket is. Well, if there's anything we know, it's that the guy who brought the item into the shop has Corey and his dad's attention. But okay, that definitely sounds like a big deal. Rick says that the item is an engine prototype for Richard Branden's Galactic. It might not look like anything, but that item is an important build for engines that will one day take people to space. Wow.
Right.
Well, how much thrust does the thing put out? This thing weighs more than that, so we're gonna have, but this thing isn't going anywhere.
Right. We've balanced it right so that it won't.
What does it run off of?
But it runs off of nitrous oxide.
Aha! That explains how Rick knows all about the item. It's always a surprise how he knows these things with just the first glance. Oh well, knowing Rick, if he talks about an item a lot, he definitely wants it in his shop. That's probably a really smart choice. Nobody wants the shop up in flames. Well, they are about to test the rocket to see if it actually works. The guy who brought it says it works, and Rick wants to be 100% certain.
Now here's the fun part. We get to test it out. Stationary, there's always danger. So I came prepared. Probably opted out of this one. He's a winner.
All right, so I've got.
I'm not going to lie, that's actually very incredible. The rocket actually works. What's surprising is the fact that it's so small, yet it produces so much energy. You can see Rick is pretty excited about the outcome of the test. Oh, and did Rick just say $100? Wow! When it comes to the bargaining game, no one beats Rick. He says he was expecting something a little out of the ordinary, but this rocket just didn't cut it. Let's see if the guy is going to strike a harder bargain.
Hey, you never know when a rocket scientist is going to.
But a rocket scientist is the kind of guy who you're stuck at $3 grand.
I could go 2,500, but that's.
It's just not going to happen, dude.
Yeah, well, I guess we don't have a deal then.
Wow! Rich actually saw a really cool item, and he said no. I'm surprised. Well, it didn't meet his taste, and the guy who brought it in also wasn't ready to go any lower. It looks like he is going to have to take it somewhere else. Well, Rick isn't changing his mind about that item. Moving on to the next item. This lady walks into the shop claiming to have a silicone mammary prosthesis. Believe me, I am as confused as you are. It's surprising that someone would want to sell something like that. Oh well.
Here's the address. Car salesman, how can you look any worse?
I'm one step above a lawyer.
Hey, how's it going?
Hi, this was my uncle's sales.
So what is this, the silicone implant?
Yes, this is a Dow Corning silicone.
Okay.
So I'm here to sell my boob.
When she puts it like that, it just makes it sound really weird. Well, like she said, she is here to sell her boob. I'm not sure this item is going to make her a lot of money, but we'll leave Corey and his brother to be the judges of that. Sometimes I wonder how Corey knows about these types of things. Believe me, it's really surprising sometimes. What's more hilarious is the fact that this lady wants to sell a silicone implant. Could Corey really be interested in buying this item?
This is a very special implant because of 4 sections that you see here. The breast here to the woman's tissue.
Okay.
In the end, they found that these actually because of the tissue rejecting it.
If back in the day this type of silicone had so many errors, why is she trying to sell it? Now I am genuinely curious. I wonder how much she thinks she can make from selling this item. I mean, Corey could not have said it any better. It's pretty rare that people, if not anyone at all, would walk into a shop and want to buy a boob implant. And let's be real, $1,000 is too high for this item.
I'll do 500.
It is very historic. Can you do 700? It is rare.
I'll tell you what, I'll go 6. No, you would have no idea what it was.
All right, let's do 6.
All right, Chum, go.
Well, she definitely knows how to strike a good bargain. But if you ask me, I'd say Corey did not want to break her heart, and that's why he agreed to buy the item for $600. At least she is not going home with empty pockets.
I'm here in Vegas with, we're gonna go have, and filled with $600.
Up next, this dude walked into the shop hoping to sell a book. Now, this was no ordinary book, trust me. He claimed it was an annual registry for 1776. He even says that the Declaration of Independence is printed in it. Imagine that? I have a feeling Rick is going to like it.
Going on break, you need anything?
All the inventory, everything came off pawn?
Not leaving for the day, just going.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, what's up?
I'm looking to sell a book.
Sell a book. What kind of book is
We
it?
have 1776, the Declaration of Independence.
Aha! I told you the book was going to catch Rick's attention. Looks like the book is no joke. I wonder how this dude got his hands on something like that. I'm sure it's not something you just see at any museum. For his sake, let's hope the book is legit and Rick is actually interested in getting the item. He wants to take his lady out and ask her to marry him. That has to be the cutest thing ever. First, let's hear about the history of the book.
The compiling of information was not really great back then, and this was basically the 17th. People come in here all the time with random items they know very little about. But I actually know it's like a journal that covers the major events. Imagine the people in England reading this and trying to make sense.
I don't think you need me to tell you that Rick is probably going to buy that book. He just gave the backstory and importance of the book, and it seems like something people might actually want. But let's not jump to conclusions just yet. But Rick is just too hilarious. I can't believe he asked the guy who brought in the book for his age because he had no idea what the Articles of Confederation were. Hilarious. It seems like it's a thing for old people. Well, Rick is about to take this dude to school.
Unless it's like absolutely necessary.
It was.
Looking through it, it's most likely pro-English. Probably be a really interesting, those damn colonists, trying to rebel.
Well, $2,000 actually sounds like a pretty fair price if you ask me. I honestly don't think he could get anything higher than $2,000, but Rick is the one in charge. Is he going to agree with the price? If you notice, Rick is not hiding the fact that the book is actually one of a kind, given the fact that the book is printed from a British point of view. If the book happens to be legit, this man might actually walk away with $2,000. Let's see what the expert has to say about the book.
That's it.
Cool.
One bad thing is, though, he did rebind it.
This is rebind, and definitely a recent rebind of the book, just so everyone knows.
Ouch, that's the first blow. Rick's expert comes into the shop, and the first thing she says is that the fact that the book had a recent rebrand would definitely affect the price of the book. That's bad news for the guy who brought in the book. The book still has some pretty interesting features regardless of the fact that it had a rebrand. Who knows? Maybe those features would make the book worth some good money. Or could I be wrong?
Have the description of the battles, but you have the Declaration, you have the Articles of Confederation. It's kind of like
All right.
banger year.
But necessarily equate to value.
You're right. This one you have pair here, and I really mean literally tape.
Oh wow, that's surprising. The expert said that regardless of all the other features it possesses, the body of the book is just not top-notch. But the shocking thing is that the book is worth about $3,000, and that brings a smile to the dude's face.
I mean, what's your absolutely best price on it?
Well, let's start at the $2,000. And I will not be money off of that still.
I know, but would you ever pull $3,000 out of your...
For like a Nintendo Power, yes.
I don't even know what that is.
Well, that's not bad. He is just short of a few $100, and if you ask me, that's a pretty okay price. It looks like he is still going to be able to take his lady out and get her to marry him. I just find the whole thing hilarious. Well, the book is sold. There's no going back, Rick. The next item on the list happens to be a wombat coat. The lady who brought it in says that it was made in the early 1900s. Something that old should be worth a lot of money.
I did some research on wombats. They got really coarse hair that keeps the weather. In polite terms, I think it's really, really ugly, horrible, nasty.
Did he just say you take a kangaroo and beat it with a stick? That has to be the weirdest description I have ever heard. One thing I know is that Rick and Corey are definitely fascinated by the item the lady brought into the shop. That explains why Corey asked if the coat won't have flies and fleas on it. Phew. At least the lady is honest about why she wants to sell it. But then again, if that's how she feels about it, would Rick really want to buy it?
For a fact, this is wombat?
I do, and here's why. Manufacturer, and they're in Milwaukee. I did my research, and
Okay. And how in the hell did you get this?
they had a farm in Walden, Colorado. And he tended to his cows coat in 30 to 40 below temperatures.
I can't be the only one who saw Corey's face when she said that her husband's father used to wear it to tend to his cows in 30 to 40 degrees below temperature. If I were in her shoes, I'd probably want to see the coat too. These are honestly very hilarious. Let's just say that nobody wants the coat. The lady wants to get rid of it, and Rick says it looks very rustic. I wonder how much this lady would want to sell the coat, given the fact that nobody likes it.
For this.
To get $450 for it's really warm.
I mean, if there was some historical significance.
Well, I guess we have our answer. Rick tells the lady that he doesn't take furs because nobody wears them anymore. I mean, everyone literally has a jacket for when it gets cold. It looks like the lady is not cashing in on any money today. I hope she finds someone who is interested in her coat, because Rick sure isn't that someone. Before the next item popped up in the shop, Rick wanted to teach Corey a lesson. Apparently, Chum has been too lazy, and Rick is just tired of it.
What are you doing? Chum.
What's up? You need something?
Yeah, go get my... We're going somewhere. We gotta go make a little trip real quick.
Dude, I really want some tacos for lunch, man.
Where are you taking them?
Chicken and some cheese or something.
Oh, Chum is in some serious trouble. It's pretty much known that Chum is the laziest person at the shop, and Rick wants to fix that. I wonder what Rick has planned for Chum. I'm sure it's something he is not going to like. Hold on. Is it just me, or does he look so confused? I guess we now know what Rick has in store for Chum. Working here for 1 week is definitely going to do a number on Chum. The goal is for him to stop being lazy. Let's hope that works, because if you ask me, I doubt it will.
I mean, I really appreciate this opportunity. Maybe I can increase the sale.
What in the hell did he say?
I can increase the sale, you know.
Ole, have you ever done
It's not Ole, it's rolling.
close enough?
R-O-L-I.
Man, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before these guys start to miss Chum. Oh well, the next item that found its way into the shop was Nevada State Prison gambling tokens. Ever heard of that before? I very much doubt that.
Gone.
Hi, how you doing? I wanted to know if Chance have any old Nevada prison tokens.
Not at the moment.
Okay, let me flip it around. How would you like to buy some old Nevada prison tokens?
You know what? I don't have any plans of going.
Ha ha ha. Good one, Corey. The guy who brought the tokens into the shop says that they are very rare items and you don't just find them anywhere. Well, no one in Corey's family is trying to go to jail. It's not surprising that Corey isn't sure he even wants to buy it. This guy's hopes are pretty high, but if you ask me, I very much doubt that Corey is going to want to buy those tokens. But let's hear a little more about these tokens. Who knows? He might be lucky.
Pretty much had to go to prison between the 1930s.
Right.
You know, the last thing they wanted you to have in there was cash. But in Nevada history, to operate a tape, you are not allowed to be a felon.
Well, the tokens definitely have a funny but interesting history. That explains why this dude is hoping to cash in on a lot of money from its sale. But what does Corey really think? I love me a customer who knows how to strike a bargain. The guy says that he wants to sell them for $850, and Corey sticks to $450. Who is going to win the battle of the bargain?
Easily $125.
I'll go $450.
How about 6.5? In your shop, you would have a perfect place.
$500 is the best I can do, buddy.
Let's go ahead and do it.
All right, man.
I guess they both won. They settled for $500, and to be fair, it's a pretty sweet deal on both ends. Sucks that this guy's dreams of walking out with a huge sum of money went down the drain. Well, every day is not Christmas. That's a pretty good way to spend $500.
Take me over there.
Today with $500, and I'm fund and take my wife to.
Moving on to the next item on the list. Another guy finds his way to the store and says that he has a custom motorcycle he would like to sell. Guess what? Corey is a freak for motorcycles, and it's something he doesn't hide even when the customers are around.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. How you doing? Motorcycle? I want you to take a look at.
I got a back lot over there. You want to bring it around?
Yeah, sure.
All right, I'll meet you back.
All right, thanks.
Secret that I love motorcycles. I actually have like 13 at this point. Shop. I'm always interested in buying.
Ooh. Now that's what you call a motorcycle. That thing looks like something used in WWE. Corey is definitely going to want to keep this bike. But first, he'd want to know a little more about it before talking about the price. I knew this bike was no ordinary bike. Apparently, the bike was built for the popular actor, James Caan. Back in the day, James Caan was the real deal. This bike is going to cost a lot of money if we're being serious.
They are 100% custom bikes. And of course, we got the big ass back.
This is his signature style.
A huge name in bike building, and he's got a real space age looking with that stretched frame. And so James Caan owned it.
Yeah.
You got any proof of that?
I do. I have the old Florida title. It had.
This dude came prepared. Men, he really wants to make some serious money from the sale of this bike. It is very rare to see a customer have proof that the bike is actually very legit. I don't think I need to tell you. Corey's face says it all. This dude wants to sell the bike for $22,000. He originally bought it for $45,000 back in 2009. Honestly, it sounds like a really fair deal to me.
You know, there was all these motorcycle shows on TV about competition of who could put the widest back tire, 80 millimeters, and then it got up to, I think, and it was just the style.
Yeah, this says a 300.
Unfortunately, the whole fat tire thing has gone the way of the...
Well, that's pretty discouraging. Corey explains to the guy that as much as the bike is one of a kind and it looks really cool to own, the bike is pretty extinct and not a lot of people drive it around. Could he be saying goodbye to $45,000? To be honest, that is the best decision right now. Corey loves the bike, and he loves the fact that it belonged to someone famous. The only issue now is Corey has no idea how much the bike is worth, so his friend, who knows a lot about bikes, is going to check it out.
So this is it. Built by Eddie Trotta, at one point owned by James Caan.
Looking good. Eddie Trotta's an artist. Certain bikes you can kind of guess because of their style and their feel. The rake of the neck drops the bike down and stretches it out, elongates.
Wow. Even Corey's friend is intrigued by the sight of the bike. He says that the man who built the bike is a very popular motorcycle builder. Aside from that, he is one of the best in the game. But is that good enough to sell the bike for $22,000?
So Chris, man, I don't know what the thing's worth. Selling again, tell me about it.
Okay, yeah. The large, wide are really out of style. What's in style now are late 50s.
Ouch! That's definitely sending a bullet to the heart of the guy who brought the bike in. Looks like this bike is pretty much out of date. But then the fact that it was built by a popular motorcycle builder should be worth something. Well, if we're being honest, $10,000 is not bad if we're honest. The bike is pretty out of that, and not a lot of people would want to buy it right now. Let's see if the dude is going to agree with all that's been said.
You told me you wanted $22,000 for I mean, the only way I could think of selling this bike is that I can get that drivetrain used for about $5,000.
Honestly, we understand that the bike is out of date, but even I won't sell that bike for $5,000. Oh well, no deal was made, and this dude is going back home with his bike.
Since we weren't able to make a deal, I'll keep the bike for now and enjoy it, and I'm sure I'll find a buyer that loves the bike just as much as I do.